Welcome back everyone to a video, and today we're doing our week 12 picks. Now, brief recap over our week 11 picks. Not very good, but honestly, if you go back to the last video, I even said I was trying to do a lot more upsets than I typically do, and that's what happens. We went 7 and 7, so not very good. I honestly thought a couple of those upsets we picked though were actually going to kind of go our way, like the Patriots and Rams game. Patriots had like a late game surge that I thought, oh man, they could really kind of turn the tables here. Unfortunately not, but otherwise, I'm fine with our other upset picks. I'm glad we got the Bills right to beat the Chiefs for the Chiefs' first loss in almost a year at this point, so I'm glad we picked that. We had some easy ones too, kind of like the Lions or the Jaguars. I felt like the Vikings or the Titans was a pretty easy game to pick as well. But again, some other closer ones like the Colts and Jets. I was glad we picked that one correctly. That was one where I just did not trust the Jets enough to pick that. And then even the Packers and the Bears game on that blocked field goal to seal the win for the Packers. So, yeah, not our best week. But again, I picked a lot of upsets. Going to try and do a bit more like the typical way we do our picks around here, I guess, for this week and try and get that record back up to what it was before. I think before we were having about each week 3 to 4 losses, I think, on average. Last week, obviously, a bit more than that. Before we get into it, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel for more week picks. I do week picks every single week. I do player rankings and team rankings and other just random videos on NFL-related topics, such as the Bears and Caleb Williams not being very good. And if you want to know why I personally think that is, go check that video out. It is my most recent upload. So go click that, watch it, leave a like. I appreciate all the support there. For this video, though, and for this week's picks, so we have the Steelers and the Browns tonight. An 8-2 team versus a 2-8 team. I get it. It's a divisional game. AFC North, they're always very competitive. I just can't pick the Browns here. They have not shown me pretty much anything throughout the entire season that would make me feel good picking them. Although, to be fair, they're really not the biggest underdog considering they're 2-8 playing 8-2 team. I believe they were like plus 105, 125. It was something around there to where I was kind of like, wow, they're not the biggest underdog in the world. But yeah, still picking the Steelers there. Speaking of a big underdog, though, Carolina and the Chiefs. If I wanted to pick another fun upset like I did last week, I'd pick Carolina, but I just can't do that. I'm picking the Chiefs. Going to try and pick a bit more level-headed this week. It'd be great. I'm a big Panthers fan. I'd absolutely love it if they somehow beat the Chiefs. I just don't see it, especially coming off a loss. They're going to be laser-focused. But again, still looking for good things from Bryce Young. He's been very clean, honestly, the past few weeks. He's played some pretty good football, so I'm happy for him there. Hoping he can continue that against, basically what the best league has to offer. Big matchup for the Panthers, not really for the Chiefs. They just need to get one, another one in the win column, keep stacking them up now, making their playoff push to just see if they can get that number 1 seed. Vikings and Bears, I'm picking the Vikings. The Bears, and I talked about this in my video I just did, they're just not at this level yet, unfortunately. I really thought they would be. A lot of people thought they would be with getting Caleb Williams and building up that roster, but the O-line is just way too bad. Caleb Williams looks like he just doesn't know what to do at a lot of points because of poor coaching, poor play calling, and always being pressured. So it's just the perfect storm that is just really wrecking the Bears season. I'm picking the Vikings there, but it would be a big win for the Bears if they're going to try and salvage this season to actually get that win. Titans and Texans, I'm picking the Texans. This is the Texans division to lose at this point. So, yeah, not picking an upset there. Picking the Texans. Lions and Colts, I'm picking the Lions. Lions are a great team. Absolutely killed the AFC South team they played last week. Now they play another AFC South team this week, and I think they could do similar damage. I don't think this will be very close. But for Richardson's sake, I hope he plays well because he did not deserve to be benched earlier this year at all. I'm picking the Lions in that one. Patriots and Dolphins next. I'm going to pick the Dolphins here. The Dolphins had a rough year because Tua was out for so long, but technically they're not like out of the playoffs. It's not like their season's a wash. Technically, I say that because I don't think their odds are the best. I think they dug themselves into quite the hole now. The AFC is very competitive, so I think it's asking a lot for them to turn that into anything, but I don't know. I'm going to pick the Dolphins. I think they do win this game. I don't know what else is going to do them. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They're just kind of going to hurt their draft spot at this point. Whereas the Patriots, you've seen that Drake May is definitely the guy. Now you can just kind of, lose out, get a good draft pick, keep that rebuild going. I think they're in the right direction. So I think good for them, honestly. But yeah, Dolphins in that one. And then for the Buccaneers and the Giants, I'm going to pick the Buccaneers here. Giants bench Daniel Jones. Now it's Danny DeVito or Tommy DeVito. It could be Danny DeVito. It doesn't make a difference. I'm picking the Buccaneers. Danny DeVito, Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock, Tyrod Taylor, Eli Manning, I don't care. This Giants team is really bad, and I'm not picking them to win a football game. So I'm going to pick the Buccaneers there. Mike Evans basically has to average, I think, 100 yards a game or more to keep his 1,000-yard streak alive because he missed time this year. So I'm expecting the Buccaneers to really come out firing, and the Giants are just a terrible team. So I don't think it's going to do them very well. Buccaneers in that one. Cowboys and Commanders. I'm going to be picking the Commanders there. Cowboys without Dak Prescott, it's just not quite good enough. And even with Dak this year, the Cowboys were just not quite good enough. Absolutely wrecked from the moment the year started as far as injuries go on the D-line and defense as a whole. And then offense, no running game, relied very heavily on CeeDee Lamb. It's just not the format you need. It's not sustainable. And that's what comes from making zero moves in the offseason. So there you have it. I'm picking the Commanders in that game. Next is the Broncos and the Raiders. I'm picking the Broncos. The Broncos have honestly proven me wrong time and time again. I don't think the Raiders are going to win many more this year at all. So I'm picking the Broncos there. It is, I mean, honestly, it is a big game for the Broncos. For the Raiders, it doesn't really matter because they're just, they don't have anything to play for at this point. But Broncos are trying to make the playoffs, and now they're very close with the Chargers in this division. That's actually a huge divisional game for them. So I'm picking them to win that. 49ers and Packers. So this is the second hardest game for me to pick this week, and the first hardest we'll get to in a minute here. But the Packers and the 49ers, I believe the Packers are favorites. The 49ers, they're just not who comes to mind when you hear that name, that team name at this point. You've lost Brandon Ayuk for the year. You've had a ton of injuries to the team. You finally get McCaffrey back, but you're still 5-5. You lost the Seahawks last week. They're in a bad spot. They really are. They're not really the top of the NFC anymore. That's just how fast things can turn, unfortunately. So I'm not going to say their championship window is expired or over, but they have some uphill climbing to do if they want to make a big push at the playoffs, as far as like deep playoffs. They could definitely make the playoffs still. But again, they have to win this game. They're a game behind the Cardinals. I believe they're tied with the Seahawks, I think, and maybe one above the Rams. I can't remember, but they're all very close. They're all like a game apart from each other in the NFC West. So with that said, I'm picking the Packers. I think they are just the better football team at this point. Jordan Love does tend to play a little sporadic. Throws 11 receptions that aren't really necessary, but then he bounces back and has great drives. It's kind of hard to know what Jordan Love's going to show up, but the Packers are a good team. I do actually like them a lot this year. I want to see how far they can go in the playoffs because it is going to be tough. They're in a very tough division. They got to try and get a spot there. Again, not impossible to win the division, but you have to kind of beat out the Lions for that. So probably wild card more than anything. But still, this is a huge game for both teams. Both teams are trying to get a wild card spot and are not in first in their division. So I'm picking the Packers, but that game could really go either way, and it was very hard for me to pick. And then the hardest for me to pick is the Cardinals and the Seahawks game. Again, these teams are one game apart in the division. Two good teams that I don't know how much they're really respected going into this year. I think the Seahawks are very underrated. The Cardinals, I don't think a ton was expected of them this year. So props to them for really proving like they'll run there because I honestly did not think. I thought they'd be an exciting team, but not really amount to many wins. That's kind of how I saw it going for them this year. But they've been very good. Very happy for them. But I'm gonna lean to the Seahawks. The Seahawks had a great performance last week. The Cardinals tend to be a little inconsistent. They're now playing in Seattle. I don't love this matchup for them this week, but seriously, this game could go either way. If this was in Arizona, I would probably lean to the Cardinals. That's how close I am with this game. Again, really tough call. If you're a Cardinals or a Seahawks fan, or even if you aren't, comment down below who you're picking for this game. I think it's going to be very, very close. I think it's very tough to pick. I honestly don't know the betting odds in this game, but I would imagine they are almost the same, I would think, because, again, two very similar teams, very similar points in their respective seasons as well when trying to get a playoff spot. But yeah, I got to lean to Seattle. I'm picking the Seahawks. Eagles and Rams, I'm picking the Eagles. Eagles are a good team. I wouldn't say they're a great team. They are a little inconsistent sometimes, but they are a very good team. Rams are also very inconsistent sometimes, and they tend to just drop games they really need to win this year. And this is a game they really need to win because of where they stand in their division. The Eagles' offense, I think, can be a bit much for the Rams' defense. Rams' D-line has been very, very good and very young at that, which is very impressive. But I like Saquon this game. I think he's going to do a lot of damage. I like to see what A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith can do over the top because they weren't huge factors last week despite their win. So I want to see them get more involved this week, and I think if they do, this should be a pretty good win for the Eagles. I'm picking the Eagles in that one. Next is the Ravens and the Chargers. So I'm going to pick the Ravens here. but I think this could be a very close game. Ravens dropped that Steelers game in what was a stupid, okay, just real quick, really stupid 2-point conversion attempt. Like, I get it. I get going for it there because you have to tie the game up. But, like, at least have Derrick Henry on the field. Even if he's not going to get the ball, you could at least pretend, make the defense think he might. I mean, Derrick Henry has to command some sort of attention from a defense. Why he's not in the field for that play, I don't understand. And then you ran to the short side of the field. I don't know. Really stupid. Anyway, though, this week, big game for both teams. Ravens are very close to the Steelers in the division. Bengals and Browns are a bit further down. But again, this is a very close race for first between those two teams. And the Chargers are also trying to catch up to the Chiefs, but also trying to maintain their lead over the Broncos, who are also very hot behind them. So again, quite the playoff race we have going in a lot of these divisions right now. It's a really exciting point in the year. These final probably 6-7 weeks we have left. So I'm going to pick the Ravens here. I think they're a good team. I think they're the better team. I think Derrick Henry can get involved and do a lot of damage to that Chargers defense. But the Ravens need a bounce-back game. They weren't super smooth, super clean on offense last week. Yeah, it's a divisional game, tough game in Pittsburgh, good defense. I get all that. But they need to see one where it's a lot more comfortable, just for morale, just for some confidence. And I think they can actually capitalize on the Chargers this week. I'd love to see J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards kind of go off on the Chargers, considering they're playing their former team. And it's always a possibility. They might make a point of getting them more involved. I'm not super sure overall with how the Chargers will handle this game. But again, I'm picking the Ravens. I'm more comfortable picking them at this point in the year. They're going to be very prepared, very focused after that loss last week. So I'm picking the Ravens in that one. So that is all my week picks. Let me know down below what games you agree with or disagree with, who your favorite team is, and how they're doing this year. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. It is free. It takes just a second. I would really, really appreciate that on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace out.